So tell me, David, we all followed with great interest this, it was almost like a public event happening, the fundraising. And I think you did your first close as 94 and then brought in actually German OEM, Daimler. Is your private equity fund, the Vision Fund, the largest global investment fund for illiquid?
I think it is. I think everybody is obsessed about the amount.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. You tell me. But I think more interesting is the story and why we raise that amount of money, I guess. Yeah. I think where we're coming from as background is we think we are at an inflection point in the technology cycle. So there's a new wave of technology, AI, robotic, IoT, machine learning, which are going to impact every industry. And it's very similar to the Industrial Revolution back in the days, or maybe the phone revolution more recently.
You mean the Industrial Revolution when we had
yes, that's right,
mass manufacturing à la Ford?
Yeah, that's right. And so it's a new information revolution, and to your point, we believe that this is going to create companies that are going to be the leading company of tomorrow. And so it's a very exciting time, and we are fortunate to have the fund to be able to not only invest in entrepreneurs that are going to lead that revolution, but also, I guess, to kind of accelerate the pace of change. So there's a change, when you look at, for example, self-driving cars, there's a chance to put capital at work, help the entrepreneurs to go faster, and to bring company together and to help them to achieve their dream faster and to bring change.
Can you list like 3 or 4 or 5 companies in Europe? Digital company, I think.
Sorry?
Can you list some companies in Europe where you invested in? I think Auto1 is one of them.
Yeah, so we are looking globally.
Yeah.
And so we have done investment around the world. I think we have done like 30 investments so far in the last year or so. We are looking at every industry. So the nice thing is that this new information revolution is going to impact like every industry. And so we're looking at everything. In Europe, we did Auto1. Softbank invested in
Congratulations, it's actually my personal favorite.
Oh, yeah.
We had Hakan on stage, like already I think 3 or 4 years ago, and I knew it will be big. There was absolutely no reason to assume it won't, because every metrics, everything was so logical. But it was interesting. We introduced him also to some investors at that time, and people didn't see it so clear. I'm very glad I was right. That for Hakan and for you also.
And so just to finish, in Europe, we did Improbable in the UK, for example.
Which one?
Improbable.
Yeah.
Which we are very excited about. And of course, Softbank invested in ARM, like 2 years ago. We bought out like ARM in the UK.
a big one.
And so we're looking at every sector. And so if you look at the investment we have done, construction with Catera. We have done the future of work with WeWork, for example, or Slack. We have done insurance in China with Zongan, et cetera, et cetera. So there's like so many sectors.
Interesting. How do you make sure that you don't overfund companies? You're smiling. There are some speakers we had. There's actually a group of like 1/3 of the speakers who came through here who never raised any money, and they made it. Like Fotolia was one of the companies, for example. Are you worried about that?
We are not worried about it because we try to find entrepreneurs that have a bold vision. And so we have to share a vision of the future with them. And we try to work with them on making that vision happen fast, because we think now is the time. Those new technologies are available today. And often those entrepreneurs are sharing with us a sense of urgency in terms of making things happen. So we are later stage capital. We invest in companies to help them. They find the model. Most of those companies we invest in are like 4 or 5 years old, I would say. Right. And so we give them capital to kind of push the pedal, go global, scale their business. And often more capital is helping to do that. But we are very careful. We're discussing with them. Right. We are trusting the team as well, that this money is well spent.
Of course, it's part of your due diligence. What is the minimum equity size check you write for? Is there something like that?
Yeah, there is something. I mean, it's not that we don't want to look at everything, but unfortunately...
How many investment partners you have in Europe?
Investment partners, we have 4.
4?
Yes.
If you have a lot of work to do, or you need to find very large deals. Is like
No.
100 million the minimum, or?
No, but because we have other investment partners in California.
By the
We
way,
have
I'm
some
going
of
to
them in
save you
Japan as
with
well.
this question a lot of time, because there are a lot of people asking the wrong investor for the wrong deal, or the right investor for the wrong deal.
Oh no, because we don't. The team in Europe look at global deals, and sometimes the team we have in California is coming to Europe to do deals as well.
But the
So we have,
minimum,
like, many partners.
there's no minimum. Or something.
There is a minimum. We say the minimum is 100 million.
This is 100, okay.
Yeah, it's 100 million. I think the best way to think about it is we say the fund, which is close to 100 billion, is going to make between 80 and 100 investment. I don't think the average is very meaningful, because that would be like $1 billion per
No,
deal.
the average is not.
Yeah,
It's like that you get the right companies to present the deals to you, and not the. I mean, we have on main stage we have 100 million minimum valuation, and we get still 500 to 1,000 requests of smaller companies. So it's a question of communication, and I think it's very important that the positioning gets you the right deals to look at.
No, that's right. But I think the way we look at it is there's going to be big investments that are like, several billions, and there's going to be smaller investments.
Right.
I mean, earlier this year, we did a deal with Lemonade, for example, in
Lemonade,
New York.
yeah.
And it was a 100 million deal.
We
So
had
this is
him
happening.
on stage at NOAH Tel Aviv.
Excellent, yes.
So let's talk. So I covered the basics because I think it was
Okay.
really important. So you're looking at the great new technologies, and there's a lot. 100 million, global. Now let's talk about investing. I was last week at Temasek in London, and I met with Luigi, and he told me a little bit about his background, and it came out of the consumer goods industry. I think he was at Procter & Gamble. Not so much digital there, right? And yet they're investing into digital. And is the background of your partners, are they also all-rounders? I think Temasek's view is that all companies are digital, no matter if they started online or offline. So now it goes back to the core, which is understanding the consumer needs and the marketing. So getting all-rounders would help the companies the most. What's the background of the Softbank investment partners?
So the investment partner, I think this is something which is quite good at Softbank, in fact, is that we have people coming from all fronts. I'm coming from the industry. Prior to, I've been at Softbank for, I'm in my 4th years at Softbank. I was 10 years at Google before. And we have people coming from other like big internet company. We have people coming from banking and the financial industry, obviously. We have people that have been CEOs of listed companies in the US.
Do you have founders?
We have founders as well, and I think the major one is Masa, which is our CEO, which has been an investor and a funder of companies for 40 plus years. And so this is this mix of people that create, I think, the special sauce of us being able not only to look at companies and find companies that are truly innovative in what they do, but it's not only about finding those companies, this is about helping them as well down the line. And I think we are not only provide capital, we are able to provide access, relationships, and I would say insights from our global portfolio to help them. Yeah.
Is every entrepreneur who gets capital from SoftBank meeting Masa?
Absolutely. Masa wants to meet
Is he giving his
every
final
entrepreneur.
check?
No, he wants to meet them at some stage in the process. He wants to look at them in the eye and be sure that they are truly hungry, passionate, and they have that bold vision, and they're dedicated to make it happen. And it's very important for us.
So looking in the eye, was there one eye test which went negative?
That always happens.
That does happen. It's okay. It's not a formality.
No name. But yes, it's always happened. Of course, it's always happened. It's not as if we are doing every investment that come away.
Right. Peter Thiel, 2 days ago, for the opening dinner of our conference, and in fact, he's not here, right? And there were a lot of people very sad about that, who said, well, Peter came to Berlin for the speaker opening dinner, and he did say there's not a lot of exciting companies coming out of Europe, and he didn't even come to the conference, which made me very sad. What is your view on Europe? Because we have smaller countries here, of course. The largest, the US market is 8 times bigger than the largest country in Europe. We kind of have a size disadvantage in Europe. Yet, as you can see in our program, we have some global leaders here also coming out of Europe. I think Adyen is going public next week at an amazing valuation, and Peter came from the very early days. What's your view? how bullish is Softbank on the European ecosystem? You have an office in London, you have 4 partners. Do you think Europe is really in trouble, or are you excited about it?
So, I mean, Softbank didn't have an office in Europe until we opened the fund, like the office in London 18 months ago. I think we see more and more European entrepreneurs that come to us that have bold visions, that want to change the world, and that have a truly exciting story, truly exciting team, how they're going to use tech to change society for the better. So this is really exciting. I mean, we keep hearing that there's a shortage of capital in Europe, and so the entrepreneur, he can't compete against other kind of regions.
But the rounds are smaller. Klaus Hommel said when a European company raises 20, the US peer raises 200, because there's just more money. So the European entrepreneur can be smarter, harder working, luckier, but at the end, the American peer, who always raised like 5 to 10x of the European money, because of the larger check, they can do more mistakes, they will always have more money for marketing.
We're open for business, I guess.
You will write the 200 million checks equivalent for...
I mean, we gave 500 million to Improbable, so it's hard to believe another company in the US will have collected 10x more for their business. So we're open for business, and I don't think capital is a shortage in Europe. I think what makes a difference is, and that has not always been true over time, is, yes, European entrepreneurs those days are more ambitious, I think, than they were like a couple of years ago. And in our case, we want to back entrepreneurs that have that bold vision, that want to change society, change the world, leverage those technology with a global scale. And so we want to build and invest in kind of the leaders of tomorrow. And I think, that might well happen in Europe, and this is happening in Europe. I mean, I was mentioning Arm before. I mean, here's a fantastic company which was in the UK, public market, so in front of everybody's eyes. And, still, when we bought them out 2 years ago, people were surprised and, they forgot a bit about Arm. And so I'm just saying there's a lot of big and interesting companies in Europe. You mentioned a few names, and there is a lot more to come, I think.
Yes. So very pragmatic question.
Yeah.
How shall entrepreneurs approach you? Shall they go through existing portfolio companies? Shall they go through friends who know partners? Or shall they just go to the website and look at send us your business plan email? Is there any recommendation how you like to get approached? Because I'm sure you get bombarded currently with deal opportunities.
We get bombarded with deal opportunities, but it's, I would say there's 2 things. One is, often we reach out to companies as well. Like I said, we are later stage investor. We invest in companies that have been around for some time. They are often market leader, or they are on path of becoming market leader. They are not like a black swan. We have heard of them before, so we know who they are, and we have a relationship with those companies already. That's one. Second thing is, leads are coming from everywhere, sometimes from portfolio company. We are working a lot with VCs as well. And, we are later stage investors. Some VCs are doing, there's an investor for every stage. And so they present us like people that are graduating from their vintage, I would say. People that are ready to take on more capital or need our help to push the pedal, go global, etc.
Got you.
And so that's where the best deals are coming from, yes.
Maybe last question.
And here's a funny story, in fact. It's like where deals are coming from is, we did a deal with Improbable, I was mentioning before, and I met Herman in a bus. So I was at another conference I wouldn't mention, and I sat down next to a guy, and I'm like, hey, what are you doing? And he was Herman in Improbable. He just raised his first round, and we talked to him like a year plus later to do the round we did.
So best way to find Softbank is to come to conferences where they are. They're all sleeping.
Yeah, exactly.
Last question. Investors like to talk a great deal about the value add beyond money.
Yes.
And there are some funds in the US where you have a ratio of operating people working for the fund of 5-to-1 to the investment profession. Atomico is one of those who's doing, I think, a great job. What value add you promise the harder to get investments, and how important is your origin from Japan, your Asian expertise? Are you helping them in Asia? Or what is the 1 or 2 things you tell entrepreneurs beyond valuation and money?
Yeah, so beyond money, I think it's to develop company at scale and to build a truly transformative company. we bring a network of like I said, like relationship, access. We invest globally, so we have a
Is there
global
like a
vision.
database where you can check who Softbank knows? No, you probably know everyone, right?
It doesn't work this way, but some people are looking for new source of like, financing, for example. Some people are looking for a different way to do marketing, etc. And we have those relationships. Some people are trying to enter the Japanese market, for example, when we, Softbank has some assets where we can help them. Some people are trying to do deals like in other countries. I think the major thing we're bringing to entrepreneur is a long-term view. So that's what's set up a bit differently from other kind of funds, I guess. And when I talk to entrepreneur, it's a bit like being on a boat. If you kind of, and on a trip on a boat, if you look in front of the boat, this is wave, ups and down, up and down, up and down.
Like the NOAH? The NOAH boat?
Yeah. And I think for entrepreneurs, it's quite helpful to have somebody with them on the boat, which helps them to look at the horizon. Because when you know where you're going, the horizon is flat, it doesn't move. And we take a long-term view, and so we want to partner with people for the next 5, 10, 20 years, and it's truly differentiated approach.
You don't have the 3 to 5 years exit cycle pressure.
That's right, and we help them to achieve their dream and keep the compass on the long-term vision. Yeah? And the last thing I wanted to mention there is, if we are truly successful in investing in 80, 100 companies that are true market leaders in their industry, sectors, etc., it's going to create a fantastic club when you think about it. If you put all those entrepreneurs in a room, great things are going to come.
That's what we do here.
Yes. And so here it's going to be, we hope there's going to be a network effect of all those companies together.
Okay.
And they're going to be able to work together, they're going to help each other, etc.
How often you bring them together?
We're trying to bring them together like several times a year. I mean, the fund has been like a year old, so everything is a bit new to us. A lot of the investments we have done are just like a couple of months old. But we have started to bring people together, yes. We haven't done like a big show, like where everybody's in a room, etc., but that will happen, I'm sure.
Thank you so much for being here with us, David.
Thank you for having me.
Very interesting. Good luck.
Yeah, thank you.